Three girls enter the forbidden river. What they discovered changed everything. The river took Adaisy first, not her body, her voice. One moment she was standing at the bank, shoes in her hand, laughing at something Yemi said. The next, she went completely silent. Her mouth was open, her eyes were wide, but no sound came out. And when the other two girls looked at what she was staring at beneath the surface of the water, they understood why. Something was looking back. Nobody in Ebony State crossed the Ofo River after sundown. That was not a rule written anywhere. It did not need to be. Every child in the village of Ishiago learned it the same way. Through the face their grandmother made when the subject came up, through the way adults changed the topic, through the story of the Musu boy who went in on a dare in 1987 and came out speaking a language nobody had ever heard before. He never stopped speaking it. They said he was still alive somewhere in Enugu, in a facility, still talking to someone no living person could see. But Adaisy Okafor was 17, and she had a Korean boyfriend who thought African superstitions were cute. And she had two best friends who had never backed down from anything in their lives. So when the dare was issued on a Tuesday afternoon in late August, none of them said no. The dare did not come from a stranger. It came from Chidima Ezi, the most beautiful, most dangerous girl in SS3 at Ishiago Comprehensive Secondary School. Chidima, whose father owned the whole and the only petrol station, the only hotel in the village. Chidima, who had failed her WAEC twice but still walked the school compound like she owned the air above it. Chidima, who had decided, for reasons nobody fully understood, that Adaisy Okafor needed to be destroyed. It had started over a boy. Of course it had. His name was Park Jun-ho. He was 20, a Korean-Nigerian student at the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus, the son of a Korean engineer who had worked on a dam project in Ebonyi 15 years ago, and married a local woman and never left. Junho was tall, light-skinned, soft-spoken and brilliant, and he had been in love with Adaisy since the day he saw her recite an Igbo poem at the Inter-School Cultural Festival without a single note in her hand. Chidima had wanted Junho first. She had made that clear in the way she made everything clear, by simply deciding it was true and behaving accordingly. She had sent him food through her house help. She had positioned herself next to him at every community event. She had laughed at everything he said, even the things that were not jokes. Junho had been polite, he had been kind, and he had chosen Adaisy anyway. Chidima did not forgive that. She never forgave anything. So the dare was this. Three girls entered the Ofo River at exactly 7 p.m., the hour the elders called Okeochi, the hour of shadow, and stay in the water for 5 full minutes. The prize, Chidima announced loudly in the school courtyard with half of SS3 watching, was 10,000 naira and a public apology from Chidima herself, a written one, on paper. Unless, Chidima had said, smiling with all her teeth, they are too afraid. Everyone looked at Adaisy. Adaisy looked at her two best friends, Yemi Adeyemi, Yoruba girl, Lagos raised, transferred to Ishiagu 6 months ago when her parents separated and her mother brought her to live with relatives. Yemi, who had the kind of fearlessness that came not from courage, but from having already lost the thing she was most afraid of losing. She had her arms crossed and was already nodding before Adaisy said the word. And Su Apak, yes, Junho's younger sister, half Korean, half Igbo, 16 years old, with her mother's cheekbones and her father's silence. Sua, who had grown up between two worlds and fit perfectly into neither, who had learned to observe everything and say very little, who kept a journal in a mixture of Korean and Igbo that she allowed no one to read. Sua was the one who looked at the river the longest whenever they passed it, like she already knew something about it. She was also nodding. Fine, Adaisy said. The courtyard erupted. Junho found out that evening. He appeared at Adaisy's family compound just before dinner, still in his university shirt, his jaw tight in a way she had never seen before. He pulled her aside beyond the guava tree, where her brothers couldn't hear. Tell me, it's not true, he said. It's true. He stared at her. Ada, that river is water, she said. It's a river. People have walked into worse things and survived. People have walked into that river and not come back the same. His voice dropped lower. My mother told me stories about that place that I still think about at night. She grew up 2 kilometers from that bank. She said the reason they built the village 3 hills away from it was not convenience. It was fear. Old fear. Earned fear. Adaise looked at him for a long moment. She loved this about him, the way he held both worlds inside him, the Korean precision and the Igbo inheritance, the science degree and the bone deep respect for what could not be explained. But she also knew that if she backed down now, Chidinma would win. And something worse than any river spirit would happen to her reputation in that school. "I'm going," she said softly, "but I'll come back." Chunho was quiet for a very long time. Then he said, "I'll be at the road above the bank. If you're not out in 6 minutes, I'm coming in." She kissed him once, quickly before her mother could see from the window. She did not know it would be the last normal kiss for a very long time. 7 p.m. came the way bad things always come, too quickly, wearing the face of an ordinary evening. The sky over Ishiagu was the color of a bruised mango, orange and purple, bleeding into each other above the tree line. The air smelled like wet earth and something older underneath it, something that had no name in any language Adaise knew. The 3 girls stood at the riverbank with their shoes in their hands, looking at the water. The Ofo River was not dramatic. That was the first thing Adaise noticed. She had expected something dark and churning, something that looked like the warnings it carried. Instead, it was quiet, glassy, moving with the slow, confident ease of something that had been here longer than memory, and intended to remain here long after memory was finished. There was a small crowd above them on the road, Chidinma and her circle, phones out, already recording. A few other students who had followed from school, pretending to be casual. Chunho, standing apart from all of them, arms at his sides, watching with a stillness that hurt more than shouting would have. "We go in together," Yemi said. "We count 5 minutes together. We come out together." Suwa said nothing. She was looking at the water with that expression again, the one that wasn't fear. Exactly, more like recognition. "Suwa," Adaise said, "are you okay?" Suwa turned to her. "My mother used to bring me here," she said quietly, "when I was small. Before everything, she would stand at this exact spot and say something in Igbo that I never understood." She paused. "I think I understand it now." "What did she say?" Yemi asked. Suwa looked back at the water. "Ihe ndị a na-egbu anọ n'ime mmiri nọ n'ime anyị ezi oge ọbụla. The things that live in this water have always lived inside us too." Nobody spoke. Then Yemi stepped in first, because Yemi always stepped in first. The water rose to her ankles and she hissed at the core of it, and Adaise followed. Then Suwa, the 3 of them standing in a line in the Ofo River, as the last orange light left the sky. For the first 2 minutes, nothing happened. The water was cold and clear, and the bottom was smooth stones and dark slits. Above them, Chidinma's friends were already getting bored. Someone lowering their phone, someone complaining about mosquitoes. Adaise counted in her head. Yemi was counting out loud under her breath. Suwa was very still. At the 2-minute mark, the water changed temperature. Not slowly, instantly, like something had been switched. One moment cold, the next warm, body warm, skin warm, the kind of warm that made you want to stay. "Did you feel that?" Yemi whispered. "Yes," Adaise said, and that was when Adaise went silent. Not because she chose to, because something beneath the water looked up, and the looking was so complete, so total, so ancient, that her body simply forgot how to make sound. Whatever was down there was not small, it was not new, it was not afraid of them, it was waiting. And from the way Sua's face had gone completely calm, not panicked, not frozen, but calm, the way you go calm when something you've always suspected turns out to be true, Adaise understood that Suwa had known this was coming. The question was, what was it waiting for? The water moved, not the current, something beneath the current, rising. Yemi grabbed Adaise's wrist with both hands. Something above them. Above them, the crowd on the road had gone quiet. Someone screamed Junho's name. Adaise heard his footsteps on the gravel, running, but her legs would not move. Her legs had become part of the river, or the river had become part of her legs. She could not tell the difference anymore. And then Suwa spoke in Igbo, her mother's words. Anyị bịara, anyị nọ ebe a, anyị na-ege ntị. We came, we are here, we are listening. The water stilled completely. Every insect sound stopped. The warmth intensified. And from somewhere below, not the bottom of the river, somewhere much deeper than the bottom of the river, something answered. If you enjoyed this story, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to always get notifications whenever we drop our videos. Thank you so much for watching.